I want you to imagine this, right? Imagine you've set your eyes on someone, right? And then you imagine this future with them, building a life with this person, only to realize they weren't on the same page.
Oh.
They don't share what you share, they don't feel what you feel. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the pain and heartbreak of one-sided love. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Untangled Minds podcast, helping you navigate to your truest self one conversation at a time. I'm Noor, trauma recovery therapist and relationship coach.
And I'm Ron, a therapist, advocate, and writer. For today, we have a very special topic that we want to talk about that I think a lot of clients bring into our therapy room. And it's this idea of one-sided love, right? And I think when people hear the phrase one-sided love, right, they are like a bit confused because don't they think that love is something that is like reciprocal?
Yeah, mutual.
Yeah. Well, what exactly is one-sided?
So I just want to set the scene for this and what one-sided love actually means. I want you to imagine this, right? Imagine you've set your eyes on someone, right? And then you imagine this future with them, building a life with this person, only to realize they weren't on the same page.
Oh.
They don't share what you share. They don't feel what you feel. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the pain and heartbreak of one-sided love.
Okay. So what you're saying, you're telling me is that one-sided love is when two partners, they do get together in a relationship or
it may not even be like a relationship. I feel like nowadays, many people are caught in situationship.
Okay.
Right?
And the one-sided love is when one party is way more attached to the other party
invested,
than vice versa. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There is this imbalance in the relationship where you are more invested, you are more attached to this person than the person is to it.
I see. And I think I'm just hearing this and I'm thinking that someone who is in this type of relationship, right, being the one who is more invested, there's a lot of pain, right, in that. There's a lot of mismatch of expectation and what you expect the other person doesn't share your expectations, right? And that creates a lot of pain and frustration and disappointment and all these other things.
Absolutely. I feel one of the things that a lot of individuals who are caught in one-sided love, they often struggle with this thought of why am I in so much pain? Why is this bringing me so much pain? One that I can't snap out of it.
Right. I see.
And I would like to actually use an analogy to explain why it feels so painful. Why, just because you realize that this person doesn't share the same feelings, why is it you can't just move on with your life and be okay with it? Okay. So I've got two papers here, right? So this is what it represents, right? Two individual entities, right? Two separate entities when you come together. So be it a situationship, a relationship, but these papers coming together, it's the representation of that attachment, the emotional attachment to the person.
And now they're together.
They're together, right? And I want to imagine there's actually glue being stuck in between these two papers. So when you leave it for quite some time and the glue has, settled in, it's stuck, right? You can't just peel it off, right? But once you realize that, oh my gosh, this person doesn't have feelings for me, we're not on the same page, there it causes this rupture. And you're forced to have to go your separate ways, even though you don't want to.
Right.
But now that these papers are stuck and you have to go your separate ways, I want you to imagine, right, when you do go your separate ways, is it going to be a clean break? Is it going to be nicely separated?
No.
No, right? You will see residues of yourself on that person and vice versa.
Not even just residues, but sometimes even tears.
Yep.
Yeah, if it's true, they're stuck too closely together, right? Just the act of tearing them apart creates ruptures,
Even big
creates holes and tears.
deeper.
Yeah, and definitely like residue, like the elements of the other person that's stuck on you and vice versa.
Yeah.
Right.
Just because it ended, just because you have the realization that it cannot continue anymore, does not mean that you will just forget about it and be okay with it.
Yeah. And like, no matter how, I'm just imagining like, if I was the paper with some of these residues stuck on me, and I'm trying so hard to like tear off like the scraps, right? That I might even tear off some parts of myself trying to get off the scraps of the other person.
Yeah.
Mm.
And if these were actually physical wounds,
Wow.
you can see yourself bleeding.
Yeah.
Right? You can see how badly it is. But because it's not physical, it's very easy for us to go into this loop of discounting the amount of deep, profound pain that we're in when we realize it's one-sided love. Right? And another point that I also like to add on top of, the emotional investment that's involved, in this situationship or relationship is because a lot of these more, intimate, closer relationships, they mirror our earlier
Interesting.
experiences. Right? You realize in those intimate, close relationships, you tend to feel more triggered. You tend to feel a bit more sensitive compared to, for example, in friendships.
Yeah.
Or, in relationships with your colleagues. Why is that so? It's because, in those intimate relationships, they really bring out the kind of familiar experiences that you had with your primary caregivers growing up.
Yeah. And like the closer you are to them, the more like interlocked you are with them.
Yeah.
And that like brings you back inevitably to the relationship you had with your caretakers when you were younger, when you couldn't help but you're like a helpless child, right? You had to be attached to an adult or a grown-up who was supposed to make you feel safe, but in doing so, you expose yourself to all of the dangers that being attached and invested comes with.
Yeah. There's also a great correlation between the amount and intensity of pain that you're feeling today from this rejection to what you went through as a kid. Right? So if you had a lot of these experiences growing up as a child where you did not have the emotional safety and closeness with your parents, where love was conditional, you had to earn it, you had to beg for love.
Yeah.
And when a rejection happens in the present moment with someone that you deeply want and crave that love from, it did not happen.
I see.
It not only triggers up that particular wounding, but it reopens old wounds.
Right.
And that's very painful.
Yeah. And I can imagine just this process of trying so hard to get your like parents' attention or trying so hard to chase after their validation, and the same pattern occurring in your romantic relationships. When you're trying so hard to cling to this person and get their attention, but they know they can push that button and make you long for more. And that's when you know you are enmeshed into this relationship. And I feel that if I was in this type of relationship, knowing that what I'm doing is like, it's not healthy for me, but still doing it anyway because I can't help it, that brings a lot of shame, right?
Absolutely. I think, if you struggle with a lot of insecure attachment growing up, if that is your primary, attachment style, more often than not, shame would accompany you in this rejection that you're experiencing right now. And when it comes to the shame narrative, it will sound something like, there's something wrong with me, right? Maybe I'm the problem. I'm the broken one. I am someone that can never be loved because I am not a worthy human being.
Right. And the roots of that come from the early childhood experiences where it plants that seed, and then all your history of relationships where you have this one-sided love reinforce that seed until it grows up into like a weed, like a very like sticky like weed or belief that prevents you from going beyond this like zone. Yeah, and I think that's a very painful place to be in.
Yes.
Like knowing that this type of relationship or like this person isn't healthy for you, but then you still go to it anyway. And I think to me like the other part of the narrative is like the reason why sometimes we are so invested into this relationship and this type of person, even though they are like not as emotionally available, is this idea that I have to get with this type of person. If they're avoidant, for example, I have to make this type of avoidant person like love.
Try even harder.
Right. To love me. If not, I am not lovable. If I cannot get this type of person to love me. Yeah.
And the thing is that, perhaps you are struggling right now with this obsession of this inability to let go. And that itself creates a lot of shame, right? So this obsession that you're seeing yourself go into is something that is so important for us to be able to understand, because if not, we will continue to add more shame into the equation.
And I think it's just really, I don't know if the word is like unfair or like unjust. There are a lot of these people, right, that who have like one-sided love. They're just trying to be loved. They're getting...
Yeah.
The
core of it is just that younger, wounded part inside of you that just craves to be seen, to be loved.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with trying to be loved.
Yeah.
Right? It's just that when you chase after people who aren't willing to give you that love, sometimes you feel like you're running to the brick wall over and over again, trying to get this person's love, but it just doesn't work out.
Yeah. And I think oftentimes it mirrors what's going on internally. If internally there's a lot of the emotional disconnection, a lot of emotional unavailability on the inside, you would tend to gravitate towards people who are aligned to that internal world as well.
Yeah, I do want to explore more a bit, I guess more on the descriptive side, which is like, how does someone know when they are in this one-sided love situation? Like, what are the typical signs of that type of relationship? What does it look like?
I think one of the things you can look up for is, like, for example, you are noticing that you're always the one, making the plans. Initiating more, sharing more, being more vulnerable. But you're noticing, like, how come this person is not sharing so much about themselves and not really opening up to you about their world, right? So I think one of the things to take note is in terms of the emotional closeness and vulnerability, is it aligned? Is it on par? Or are you doing more of the work?
The work, right? It feels like you are the one who's carrying the relationship on your shoulders, and the other person is being more reactive, and you're the one being more proactive, when it should be more of a back and forth.
Yeah.
Right. I see. And I think the other thing also is, like, when you mentioned the initiating like conversations and being the one to have deeper conversations, there's also, like, during the conversations itself, it's the amount of engagement the person has, regardless of the event.
Yeah.
And sometimes it feels like they just want to, like, go away, like go off, always having this, like, escape plan. And I think that, because you're trying so hard to get this person's, like, love and attention, right? And all they're doing is just they're like shrugging off. They're taking you for granted. I see. And that causes so much pain. There's so much, like, frustration, and, like, I'm trying so hard, but why is this person not like playing to what I want?
Yeah. And again, I think if you come from an insecure attachment, even though you're seeing all these clear signs, even though maybe your friends are telling you, hey, oh my God, this person is not good, it's like, unhealthy, emotionally unavailable. But even with all that facts and the evidence, you can still feel that it's hard for you to kind of, like, walk away.
Yeah, not even like hard. Sometimes it's, like, impossible.
Yeah,
right?
To confront the truth that this person, he or she cannot be relied on. To be your support system.
And I feel like, I think our friends, when they say these kinds of things, they have the best of intentions.
Yeah.
They want us to get away. But I think it is in the way that they say it that makes us feel like crap.
Yeah.
Like, why did you ignore the red flags? It's so obvious.
And especially if you're not ready to hear it.
Exactly.
Even though friends can be super well, intentioned, it can come across as very invalidating to what that person is actually going through. Perhaps, on the cognitive level, they're like, yeah, I get it. This person's just not good. This person is just emotionally unavailable. But because that person is still going through this tug of war, this internal battle, just kind of telling the person you should just leave.
Yeah.
It's
it's invalidating. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think and I think it also deserves mentioning, not just on the emotional level, but also on the practical level as well. Let's say you're enmeshed with them on the financial level. Maybe like you're living in the same house as them. You have kids even. That adds on another level of complication that just like saying, just leave lah. It's like almost impossible. Yeah, it's like, again, like going back to the first episode, like telling a depressed person, just be happy lah.
Yeah, just be happy. Why are you so sad?
Yeah. Let's say you put it on the television screen, right, and the depression rate goes like down, like to 0%. Oh, I didn't think about that. So yeah, I think that level of sensitivity is required in helping someone you know, or sometimes even yourself, right? Because when we blame ourselves or criticize ourselves for not being able to separate ourselves from this person,
the
first kind of step is to realize, hey, because you've been enmeshed with this person, and oftentimes it goes back all the way to your early childhood experiences, that this response is not something that you can choose for now to break.
Yeah.
Even though like there's always like small things that we can do, I believe, to initiate that separation.
Yeah.
I do want to touch a bit on this topic, which is we mentioned about shame, right? But I think a question that some listeners may have is, what's the difference then between that shame and also guilt?
Yeah.
Right. I think I get confused about that sometimes as well.
Yeah. Good question, Ron. I think it's important for us to be able to understand the difference between the guilt voice and the shame voice, because it sounds very, very different, right? Shame is something along the lines of, okay, when that rejection happened, that person didn't choose me. Shame would go, okay, they didn't choose me. It means that, I must be the problematic one. The thing wrong with me, right? So the shame narrative attacks the sense of self, and it spirals you down this path of self-destruction.
I see.
Right? Because it sees you as the fundamentally flawed one that cannot be repaired, it cannot be helped. Right? Whereas for guilt, it will go something along the lines of, oh, okay, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Right? He or she did not feel the same way. It's hurtful. I mean, it's hurtful, it's painful, but it does not define my worth.
I see.
Right? It does not lower down my value as a human being just because that person does not feel the same way about me. And you can sense that it's a different kind of energy,
right,
that guilt and shame brings
totally
into the forefront.
Yeah. And I think we don't want to downplay the significance of guilt, right? And sometimes guilt can be like extremely overwhelming in all contexts. But I think the way I see it is that shame is about the self, about the person, about who you are. But then the guilt is about the action,
the situation,
correct,
something external.
Yeah, the context, right? Whereas the shame part is really hard to unlearn, because let's say if I kind of have this voice where I am fundamentally unlovable or fundamentally broken, right? It's hard for me to change that compared to an action where I can do something to change the situation. It's very interesting because this is the same thing that we're doing in a one-sided love, in the sense that we are enmeshing ourselves with this other person.
Yeah, so rejection happens, and instead of like a rejection happened, you go, I am rejection. I embody rejection as part of me.
Yeah, you are this concept. You are pain, you are rejection, but that's not who you are, because you're a human being. And you are so many other things apart from pain, apart from rejection. And another thing is that you are also not that other person. Like going back to the paper analogy, you're two separate
selves.
Yeah.
You were somebody before you met this person out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And you will be a person even after the relationship has ended.
Yeah.
Right. And I think obviously it's easy for us to say and do, and in the end it's still an extremely painful process. Right?
Absolutely.
And something that is also related to this process of like unlearning the one-sided love, that I think most people don't think of it in this context, is actually grief, right? Because it is a sense of loss. It is a destruction of the identity.
Yeah.
Right? It is a loss of the self, a loss of a crucial part of your identity. And I think when we talk about grief, most people think of it in the context of like the loss of a loved one.
A physical death.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's just one form of grief.
Yeah.
It's a very important form of grief, but there's other forms of grief. And I think this process of breaking that one-sided love, like uncoupling and unmeshing yourself from this other person, that's also a form of grief as well.
Yeah, which I feel is often overlooked,
Right.
right? Because it is not categorized as grief and loss. We don't see it as something that we have to take the time and space to mourn through, right? The death of a relationship, right? Because when we're talking about, something that means the whole world to us and does not work out, does not go away to how we planned it to be, it's not just losing of that person.
Yeah.
It's not just the loss of this person, but it's all the hopes, the dreams that's associated to losing this person too. The version of yourself that you saw in that relationship.
Yeah. I'll even say it's a storyline, right? In our minds, we often build out our entire life story of being with this person. And this person is a crucial character in the story. And then when this person is gone, it feels like it's just like emptiness, like a vacuum. And this vacuum can threaten to consume all our entire sense of self.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then in the context of grief, right, there's also this concept of, when we talk about grief, we also often talk about letting go, right? What does that look like in the context of the one-sided love?
It means being able to acknowledge all these layers, these meanings of loss, of love and hope that we have associated this person as well.
I see.
And, to kind of add on to someone who's feeling this intensity, this great intensity of pain going through one-sided love, if let's say you've gone through past experiences in life where you've never really felt that experience of being held, loved, by or protected by the people that you want love protection from, and one day this person came along, you're like, wow, this is a potential. This person could be that one to finally hold me, keep me safe, protect me,
to complete you,
right? It is a natural response of that part of your body and your mind to go, oh my gosh, this is huge.
Yeah,
devastation.
Exactly. To yearn for that person's embrace again, even when your cognitive mind tells you it's the wrong decision, you still keep going back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this ties in back to the idea of grief, because when we try so hard often we force ourselves to let go, but in doing so, we further the connection, the stickiness even more. And then when we eventually do tear it off, there is all of this residue of the other person on us, and then creates a lot of shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is an important part of the healing work that, we want to invite ourselves into, right? And it's something that we are excited to deep dive on in the next episode on how do we go about navigating through healing from one-sided love.
And so the message that I like to end off with this episode of On One-Sided Love is, I think, the message that we've been consistent with throughout our previous episodes, which is that when you know that this is a response that you personally would not have chosen, and it is, in fact, a product of your early childhood experiences and other of these factors influencing who you are as a person, maybe it's less about letting go and more about letting in. Yeah?
I love it.
To realize that these are all responses that kept you safe in the past and also even kept you alive. And so we shouldn't treat them with shame and judgment and criticism, but instead to look at it with compassion and curiosity and ask yourself, what is it trying to tell me?
Yeah. More of that on how do we meet these parts with, love and compassion. So we can't wait for you to listen in on the next episode. Stay curious. Take care. Bye-bye.